Hey everybody, I'm Howard Deskin from WebStrategies. So glad you're joining us today. We're going to give it another minute, let some other folks join us today, and we'll get going. All right, why don't we get started? A warm welcome to today's FPSA webinar, Marketing and Sales Uniting to Attain Peak Results. We've got some really good information to share with you today, and we have quite a few panelists as well who are going to share that information with you. So thank you for joining us. My name is Howard Deskin, and I'll be the webinar host today. And I come to you from WebStrategies, which is we're a digital marketing and lead generation company, deeply entrenched in helping equipment manufacturers across the U.S. With their lead generation and marketing and sales strategies as well. I'm honored to host this webinar. We've done a couple of webinars with the FPSA in the past, haven't done one, I think, since COVID. So thank you to the FPSA team for letting us do that. Today, we're really, this topic gets talked about a lot, and there's a lot of opinions about it, and we're going to break that down for you and really talk through how to be successful in with having your marketing and sales really working together closely. We're big believers in that. And these are two essential functions, and they really become critical. You know, we ask these questions: are your sales and marketing teams truly harmonizing their efforts? Are you still siloed? Are you extracting maximum value from the collaboration? And that's why we came up with this webinar. We thought it was a really good topic. We're going to provide answers and strategies and insights and best practices to supercharge your sales and marketing efforts. So again, before we dive into it, welcome to our webinar. We have an FPSA, really valuable member of the FPSA behind the scenes running the slides, Elena Sierra. Some of you probably know her, so thank you, Elena, for that. We are going to be recording this webinar, so if you can't stay for the whole thing, we'd love you to stay. But if you can't stay, it'll be recorded. You'll get a link to the recording as well. And if you have any questions during the webinar, just put them in the questions or the chat box, and we'll try to answer them. We got a few questions from folks who signed up already, so we'll try to cover those as well. So the FPSA, many of you are probably members. Great organization. They run, you know, a couple of conferences every year, Process Expo and so on. And they're really committed to fostering growth, innovation, and collaboration across the food processing industry, and put on webinars and so forth. So if you're interested in learning more about the FPSA, we've got links here to that. You can go to their website as well, fpsa.org, or contact Heather Davis at hdavis@fpsa.org. All right. So Process Expo, I mentioned, that's coming up soon in October. I've been to one or two of those myself, and one of our all our panelists has probably been there. So it's really a nice show, lots of exhibitors, lots of demos, really good food as well. I don't know about the pet treats though. I'm not sure I'd want any of those. So yeah, I encourage you, if you haven't attended, or many of you are probably exhibiting there as well. So the invites are about to come out for that. So mark that on your calendar. And Elena's going to put information about Process Expo and joining FPSA in the chat, so you can see that there as well. All right, so I'm just the moderator for this show. We've got an esteemed group of panelists, really experts in their field, whether it's sales or marketing or combos, Smarketing we like to call it, who all work either for equipment manufacturers or with equipment manufacturers. So folks, go ahead and show yourselves or reveal yourselves. All right. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Kristin, you're first up on there, I see first. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Kristin Harrison. I am Director of Business Development for WebStrategies. I work with Howard every day. He and I have left no stone unturned when it comes to sales and marketing alignment and how we really can work together, and typically how opposites attract, and we come up with great things and great ideas. So I'm super excited for being here.
Thank you. Glad you're here. Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I'm the Marketing and Creative Manager at Rubber Fab. I've been in the marketing and creative field for almost 30 years now. So I'm really excited to bring my marketing expertise, I guess you could say, to this topic.
Excellent. And Jennifer has been on a couple of webinars with us before. Actually, a WebStrategies webinar years ago, we invited her to join us. So glad to see you again. Jessica?
Hi there, I'm Jessica. I'm the marketing director for Grote Company and their family of brands, which include Vanmark Equipment and PFI. So I am fully running the whole spectrum of marketing for various equipment manufacturers, and I'm excited to bring that to you today.
Excellent. Full disclosure, Grote and the family of Grote companies are a client of WebStrategies. All right, Matt, had to say that.
Thanks, Howard. Yeah, my name is Matt Hartman. I'm a senior account manager at Blentech. I've been with Blentech for 7 years. I'm one of those rare people in sales that's also technical. I have a background in engineering, so I tend to geek out whenever I can.
Yes, and this is not the first webinar we've done with Matt as well. So glad to be back online with you again. So before we get into, we have some really tough questions for our panelists. Before we get into that, why are we here? Why does this even matter? And we wanted to kind of share with you some highlights of why it matters. So we're big believers, everyone on this panel here, is that if you can align your sales and marketing efforts, it's a real key to growing revenue. And that is probably the number one reason. Studies have shown that with better sales and marketing alignment, you can expect increased revenue. HubSpot did a study a couple of years ago that well-aligned sales and marketing teams achieve 24% faster 3-year growth, revenue growth, and 27% faster 3-year profit growth compared to companies with less aligned teams. Other studies, one by the Averaging Group, showed a 32% increase over a couple of years. So it's proven that if you can do this and do it well, increase revenue. Now, of course, you're going to get increased revenue from better lead conversion rates and shorter sales cycles. So that has also been proven in some studies as well. Increased customer retention and loyalty. We all know it's a lot easier to sell more product to your existing customers than it is to find new customers. So that is an important reason why aligning your sales and marketing efforts are critical. And we're seeing of late with many of our clients that they're very interested in growing share of wallet, shall we say, from their current customers. So selling more equipment, parts, service to existing customers, and marketing can play a big role in that, which all of this leads to higher marketing ROI. If you have higher retention, higher revenue, your return on your marketing investment is going to be higher, and your sales force as well. And then really reducing wasted resources. So, we tend to see where when sales and marketing are siloed, they're kind of going off on their own. They're spending budget that potentially could be better utilized if it was shared and very focused strategically on the same things. So that is also a potential to save money and improve your ROI as well. All right, so enough of that. Let's get to the panelists and hear what their recommendations and their pain points as well in aligning sales and marketing. So we're going to start with this one. We'll go to Jennifer first. How would you define the ideal relationship between sales and marketing?
So for me, sales and marketing, it's like peanut butter and jelly, right? Like peanut butter on its own, a peanut butter sandwich, it's okay. A jelly sandwich, not bad. But when you put them together, they just work, and they work well. From a marketing perspective, I could market a product all day long. But if there's no audience for it, or it's not the right audience, because I'm not talking to the customer, I might as well be putting a message in a bottle and throwing it in the ocean. I need my sales team to tell me what they're hearing. What are you hearing when you're going to visit customers? What's a new market that I should be exploring? I mean, I could pick, we work in both pharmaceutical and food and beverage. I could pick another market that I think we want to get into, but it might not be the right market because we don't have the customers for it, or our customers aren't asking for it. And while I'm going to trade shows and I do talk to customers, I'm not talking to them nearly as much as my sales team is. And I have an inside and an outside sales team. So I'm constantly asking questions. I ask a ton of questions by nature, so they're used to it by now. But asking questions, what are people asking for? What are they looking for? I have salesmen that email me and go, hey, could we send out this piece of literature because we're hearing some buzz about it? Or we have a huge portfolio. So sometimes it's like, hey, could you send out this literature again just so we can remind customers that we have it? Because the last time I did a lunch and learn or I went to visit a customer, I showed them a torque tee and they forgot we had it. So could we send out some more literature? So to me, if you're not talking to your sales team, your message, bottle, ocean, and it's not going to get anywhere.
Excellent. Well said. Thank you. All right. Kristin, take a shot at this.
Well, I love everything that you said. I love the peanut butter and jelly reference. It's true. It's, we're a dynamic duo. Howard and I are definitely a dynamic duo. And it's almost as if you have to communicate in a way that you just kind of seamlessly understand each other. So we're driving the growth and the innovation for the company together in very different ways. And I think the seamless collaboration, Howard talked a lot about the Smarketing meetings, or well, Smarketing as a whole, which is sales and marketing combined. We have a meeting on Mondays, and we just kind of deep dive into every single thing that marketing's doing, every single thing that sales doing, how we can work together, what the market is saying, where we think things need to go. We've been in the game for a really long time, and this year is just data, 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 data. Everything's coming out about data. So we're, really talking a lot about the same specific thing. But we're at this point like a finely tuned machine. Howard and I have worked together for a really long time, and we work hand in hand. He relies on my strengths of being able to talk spots off of a wall, and I've never met a stranger, and he can follow up with his kind of data driven, more detailed insights than what I just naturally provide. So it's like this very delicate dance that we do back and forth, and he lets me kind of take the front and center stage, and he is in the background doing all of the great things that he does, and then we switch when I need his expertise at the forefront, and then I'm in the background. So we really do a great job, and working together, doing it the right way, we convert prospects into raving fans. So that's really the name of the game, and that's really what I think are the key attributes to sales and marketing alignment? Howard and I. Howard and I, we should write a book.
That might be an anomaly. I don't know. We'll see. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, and there's some things to unpack there. We'll do that a little bit later on. Matt, go ahead. You've got a very unique perspective to this. We'd love to hear.
I'm not sure it's unique, but it's a perspective.
Right.
At the end of the day, sales and marketing is really, it's two sides of the same coin, right? And we have to be able to work together. The analogy I use, was Army versus Air Force. Sorry, because I feel the sales tends to be the boots on the ground, where the Air Force is providing air cover for us, helping us tell where the positions are. But there has to be a collaboration between the two, right? As from the boots on the ground, being able to say, hey, I've got a problem over here. I need help over here. And whereas, marketing can say, hey, I really think there's something over here for you to be looking at. There may be a bigger picture you're missing. And what I have found between that conversation, there's two pieces of it I think that are really important. One is an executive alignment. That you have an executive alignment saying, okay, Army, you say you've got this hill you want to climb. Air Force, you're saying you want to take that mountain over there. It takes sometimes an executive alignment to say, no, both of you are wrong. Both of you are in the wrong jungle. Go climb that hill and have that executive alignment. But I think even a bigger part of that conversation, we can dig into this a little bit later, is the idea of no thin skin. That you have to be able to have conversations that are uncomfortable. You have to be able to address the brutal facts of the situation in a constructive way, so that we both can accomplish the same mission and make sure we've got the same mission identified.
All right. Well, so far I've heard analogies to peanut butter and jelly and All right. Jessica, what do you got?
I'm not going to do any other analogies because I thought the same thing. I really would just reiterate what everyone else said. It's about teamwork and collaboration and marching towards the same goals and bringing each team's strengths to achieve those goals. And I think that's the highest level synergy.
Right. Okay. But it from what Matt said, it's really got to be at the executive level, senior most that you guys need to work together, right? It's organizationally, there has to be that
absolutely
mantra that you gotta work together. In addition to what I heard Kristin say was around data, and that is really shared metrics and KPIs. What are we trying to do? We're trying to grow revenue 10% to 15% a year. Okay, great. What markets, as Jennifer pointed out, what products specifically, are there specific products to focus on? Because you can, all of you, other than Kristin and I, we're not working in a manufacturing company, have a lot of products and you've got parts, and where do you focus? So that getting alignment there, salespeople are going to sell. A lot of times, what's the easiest thing to sell?
What's the easiest thing to sell?
Yeah.
There's a point there, Howard. Salespeople sell what they know.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
if they're not comfortable talking about something, they're not.
Right. So you've got to help them provide the material and the information and really educate the potential customers and so forth. All right. Well, that was a lot. So thank you for that. We're getting somewhere here. Here's another question. I'm going to go to Matt for this one. What are some of the key challenges or barriers you've observed in aligning sales and marketing?
I'm going to go back to a little bit what I started with. It's really, I think, not being able to address the brutal facts of the situation in a safe place. If the sales data is showing dropped leads, if the sales data is showing that the leads aren't converting, be able to look at the brutal facts and try to dissect the data, understand, are sales dropping the ball? by not routine follow-up, sales dropping the ball because we didn't engage fast enough, or on the other side of it, were the leads not viable leads that got handed off. And be able to look at the brutal facts of the situation, as long as it's in a safe place. But if you can't have honest and open conversations about where the problems are, you're always going to be running around in circles.
And pointing fingers.
And pointing fingers. And I've been in situations before where, you know, fingers are getting pointed and I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, I agree that, you know, I contributed to that. And absolutely, I'm willing to admit I contributed to that. But there's kind of blood everywhere too, you know?
All right. Would anyone else like to entertain this question that we just said, you know, challenges and barriers that you've observed?
I think
for me, oh, no, you go.
Oh, no. You go first. That's fine. I'll go.
I was just going to say, I think it's those core things again, right? There, I mean, you know, Matt mentioned trust or a common goal or a common plan, and then open communication. It all really stems from there. And then that's where the mistrust and, you know, the trash talking or, you know, the misalignment and we're not reaching our goals really comes from. So it stems up there and then it always articulates itself in, you know, almost like a sibling type way where, you know, there's just a lot of animosity unnecessarily, and you're really not keeping the customer in mind when you're doing that or the overall betterment of the business. So I think it really does stem from those higher level things.
Yeah. I think that's such a great point, Jessica. And I would say the best way, and to piggyback off of something that Matt said earlier, was having alignment, executive alignment, like leadership being, this is what we're doing. You two are going to figure it out. You have, you know, this metric over here and this metric over here, and we're going to meet once a week and we're all going to talk about it. And it does really force you to, you know, get on board. You're getting on board. You're sharing everything and you're looking at it from an equality standpoint instead of, you know, who's the hero of a day. And every good salesperson likes to be the hero. It's just kind of naturally who they are. And most natural born salespeople, I would say, are kind of lone wolves. And so it's hard to share. And those getting through those points earlier, and then there's just kind of like a underlying, you know, I don't know. Howard and I've done it well, really well. I mean, I would like lay down on train tracks if he asked me to. So I really don't know what our secret sauce is, but I can't say that I've always had that because a lot of people that are a lot different than me, they come in and they say these things and they expect me to be like, do, and I am not. So I think it's interesting.
I want to interrupt you here. You said something I think was really important, and I'm going to paraphrase it, was the train tracks analogy. That indicates a high level of trust.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
If you two trust each other, you can have an open and candid conversation. And in a previous life, I was in a meeting and the marketing person went at me and we had to get separated by somebody because it was, you know, in a previous life. And so of course there was no trust at that point, right?
Right. Yeah.
It was the beginning of developing some kind of trust. Maybe. You see that a lot with the preseason in football.
Yeah.
I have an HR background, so it kind of helps me out. You have to put the egos aside.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ego. Everybody's on the same playing field. You know, you have to take constructive criticism from the sales team. They're not trashing what you're doing, but they have knowledge that I don't have, and I have knowledge that they don't have. So if you put those egos aside, it really breaks down a very large barrier that can prevent that from happening.
Excellent. All right. Well, this is a good segue to a question for Jennifer to start. How important is the collaboration, communication, specifically shared tools between sales and marketing teams to achieving the results, everyone wants to achieve, which is more business and better business and happy customers.
So I also oversee the leads that come in from our website. And every time there's, we see all kinds of different food companies. I see like Hershey come through, Nestle, Hormel, Sam Adams. I get excited. I get excited about every lead. I send it to the sales guy. I ask, hey, we'll send them a sample gasket if they send us a sample, whatever they make.
But, chocolate.
Right. Whatever. I'm game for everything. Yeah. But even like when we go to trade shows and stuff, I don't just pack for a trade show. I talk to the sales guy that's going. What do you need? What signage do you want? What literature do you want me to pack? What samples do you want to see? Is this a more, we sell gaskets and hoses, is this a more hose-driven industry? I don't pack what I think looks good on a table because that's not what we're trying to achieve. And it's the same with leads, it's the same with literature. I always tell them, the more you sell, the more money we bring in, and then the bigger my budget gets to help you sell more. So it's really a circle. It's an evolution, it's a circle, it goes around. But all these little tools that we use, whether it's lead generation or just emailing each other or sending each other Teams messages. I have sales guys that I speak to weekly that tell me what's going on. I was just at a trade show. Somebody mentioned something, maybe on the next one, we pack this instead of this. We do a lot of different pharmaceutical, like regional pharmaceutical shows. And one of my sales guys was like, maybe we should pack more silicone hoses, less gaskets. So if I'm not using the tools that I have available to me to do things like trade shows or marketing in general, we're not going to be very successful.
That makes a lot of sense. I made a note here. The sales, because I'm involved in sales too. Salespeople always want to sell more. It's not they don't want to sell. They want to sell more because they get paid more at the end of the day. So it sounds like you're being very proactive in getting the pulse of what's going on out there, both when they're at shows, but also when they're talking directly with customers, kind of what's going on. Is that fair? Does that seem to be?
They bring me into a lot more than probably most marketing people do, and I'm very lucky in that. We've done a lot of customer voice, we've done customer journeys, and I've kind of been the moderator for that. Like we will set up a meeting with some sales people, with my sales guy and a customer, and I will ask the questions because I'm coming in with a totally different perspective. I might not know their industry very well, so I can ask very basic questions to get good information for both them and me. I used to go to trade shows a lot and talk to a lot of customers. So they know who I am as well. And they know if they need something, they can reach out to me. But we really do work as a team, whether it's me and one salesperson, me and the whole sales team. Yeah, they rely on me for a lot of things, and I rely on them for a ton. I know I can't do it by myself. There's no way. That's like trying to find a place without Google.
Right.
I think you said something that really hits the nail on the head. You said, I love it when salespeople sell and they sell more. The more that they sell, the more budget I get and the more I can do my job. That statement right there, or that understanding, regardless of what industry you're in, that is sales and marketing alignment, because salespeople keep the lights on. I don't care what anyone, I mean, we're the heroes when it's great, and when it's not great, we take the fall. It's a hard place to be. There's no middle ground for a salesperson. You're either up here or you're down there. And, you kind of take the brunt of everything that's going on, good, bad, or indifferent. And if you don't have that understanding that we keep the lights on and everyone in the organization reaps the benefits of a new sale, instead of it being like some pain in the ass and we actually have to work now, like that really is a huge point that should be driven home for sales and marketing alignment. Because I think we've all been in the situations where it hasn't always been as supportive for a bunch of new deals coasting in. And I think if you alleviate that point, you alleviate a lot of the dysfunction within a sales and marketing team.
Yeah. That's as long, just don't talk to the operations or the production folks.
Yeah.
We can't handle it. So this is good. I'm glad you brought this up, Jennifer and Chris, because there's another question, but I'll wait. So I want to ask Jessica, what strategies or tactics have you found to be most effective in aligning sales and marketing and in your organization? And I know there's multiple companies there and multiple players. So what have you found to be successful?
At a really high level, it's just open communication proactively, right? So, setting up those regular meetings and not just waiting to run into each other or waiting to hear something, being active and engaged into that sales process. We've already talked about it, right? Like they're in the field every day, they're talking to customers. I am too, and getting that different perspective. And I'm also taking, the digital marketing data that I see and combining that together to make sure that it's an effective plan. So really, I have either it's weekly or monthly meetings depending on the division. Like I said, I work with 3 different sales teams. So each of them sell different types of equipment. So their sales cycles are a little bit different. Their customers are a little bit different, and their marketing needs are a little bit different. So I adjust my plans based on that, and then our communication. But we've already talked about, we're reviewing the metrics, right? So we use our CRM to look at quantitatively what's happening, but also just those qualitative conversations. Is this resonating? Does this sound right? Is this a term you would use? Is this something you hear from customers? And just taking all that data that we have access to today and, making sure that it's working. And if it's not working, what do we do instead? And just making sure that we're all held accountable and looking at those goals that we set regularly to make sure that, we're all moving in the same direction. So, and then if you want to get into the tactics, right, we use Teams, we text each other, there's, communicate, conversations on, webinars or in-person meetings. So it's just as many ways as we can be in front of each other and with each other as much as possible.
Do you find that you have to be, on the marketing side, more of the driver with getting the sales folks engaged, or is it the other way around, or about 50-50?
It depends. At the beginning, when I came on board, they had never had a marketing person before. So there was a lot of education there. I got trust and buy-in from the leadership, before I came on board, and then they helped me bring that to the sales teams. But very quickly, there was a lot of trust there. And again, just some acknowledgement that we're on the same team. Someone might be offense and someone might be defense, but we're all trying to win the game. So there's another analogy. But at the beginning, it was a little bit difficult. But now I would say, depending on the salesperson, I'm getting texts in the evenings like, hey, I was at a plant today and guess what I heard, or something like that. So it's definitely a two-way street now.
Got it. Okay. All right. That's good. So a lot of meetings, everyone be proactive is great. More information is the better. Jennifer, I'm like you, because I still get some of the contact forms for some of our clients, and I look, I'm like, oh, right, someone wants a conveyor. That's great. It is. That's why we're all doing this as well. So I did want to ask, and maybe Matt can answer this one, since you're kind of more on the sales side. Do you find, is it better for the marketing director to work directly with the business development director, or is it more effective to include as many salespeople as you can and get all those brains providing information, and both ways?
That's an interesting question. Conventional wisdom says, oh, you include more people, the better. But that tends to turn into paralysis, what I have found. Then everybody has an opinion, which is great, but then some of those opinions should have a lower weight than other opinions do. But I also I don't like the idea of rigidity either. that you should be able to have access between levels at not just the senior levels. So I think it's more of a hybrid, Howard.
Okay.
I don't like the rigidity of saying only marketing person A can only talk to sales manager B.
Yeah.
That's the only people communicate. I think that's ineffective and information will get lost.
Okay.
I think there are insights to be gained, and I think that's where trust comes in to who gets allowed into that circle, who offers viable information that's not a distraction.
Okay. It sounds like, Jennifer, you're inclusive. You're talking to a lot of different folks on the sales side, and Jessica as well. Is that fair?
Yeah, I have a fairly small sales team, so it's a little bit more manageable for me. But yeah, we try to, because we all have different territories. There's different states, I have a salesman in Europe, totally different, same industries, totally different way of marketing. So yeah, I kind of need to talk to all of them.
Okay. Anybody, I suspect there may be folks on this webinar who don't sell direct, they sell through a dealer network or distributors. Any advice for those folks to kind of gain the pulse of what's going on in the dealer world?
We're a B2B, but I still market to our end users. We funnel inward. So I market to the end user. They find us. We then send it to a distributor. But all of the voice of customer and customer buying journeys, we're all through our distributors. What are they doing? Some of them are going into e-commerce. Some of them don't want e-commerce. What are they doing and how can we support them? Because our job really is to support them. What do they need? What are their needs? What can we help them with sales? What could we help them with marketing? Is there something that they need that we should be thinking about? We're supporting them because if they're successful, we're successful. So even though we market to our end users, we then take those leads that we're getting from our end users and give them to our distributors.
Got you. Okay. Very good. Anyone else want to?
I would say it's definitely a secondary focus for me, but we also market to our dealers, right? So we're making sure that they know what our products are, do the latest developments. So when they are in the field, they can identify those sales opportunities for us, because if we're not training them up, then they're not going to sell our things either. So we do take that on to market to them as well, just to make sure they have the sales tools the same way our teams do, and they have the education to find those opportunities and sell for us.
Excellent. All right. Well, Jessica, since you're on a roll here, let me ask you this. Let's flip the script a little, because there's at least, I don't know, I think a lot of people think this way. Marketing supports sales. It's always marketing supporting sales. Let's flip it. How can sales support marketing? And so everyone is successful. What are your thoughts there?
I think we've already talked about it at a high level, right? It's bringing back intel from the field. I would say, the sales process and the sales cycle for capital equipment is so long, right? Like there's 5 or plus buyers involved. It takes weeks or months sometimes. So all of us really have to be saying a consistent message to our customers' pain points over a really considerable amount of time, and a lot of different conversations and a lot of different channels. And for sales to support marketing, it's really taking that content and that value proposition that marketing creates for you, those sales tools, and making sure you're saying the same things to reinforce those messages, right? So that shortens the sales cycle, that gets you more results, and hopefully it speaks directly to the customers based on the research that we did together. So really, I think it's just not forgetting about, the things that we create. Sometimes that's really common as well. Marketing will create a sales sheet or a presentation, and then it never gets used. So again, if they're aware of it and they know what it says and they're confident in it, it just makes that message so much more stronger, and then hopefully better results.
All right, thank you. Matt, what are you?
Yeah, I wanted, I guess, a little different thought about this. if a lead is created through the efforts of remarketing or search engine optimization, pick a vector and a lead is created, I think salespeople can tend to forget there was a cost associated with that lead. You get a lead from a trade show, there is a cost, a very real and tangible cost associated with that lead. And I think salespeople can be myopic and just and forget about that. There was a lot of money went into creating that lead by not necessarily calling them or making one phone call, one email. Oh, they're not interested. Well, maybe getting back to the long lead times and the long. If somebody comes to me in an awareness, not even awareness, let's just start there, awareness stage, they're kind of aware they got a problem, right? Sort of, maybe. And then and sometimes what happens is that project evaporates and then another one shows up 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later. And I believe that re-engagement on a periodic basis, 5-7 times over a couple of years is what can take that little seed that you planted into the ground and watering it routinely. And it sucks because it's a lot of unglorious work to keep reaching out to somebody and be a tick for 3 months and be a stalker for the next 2 years. You constantly show up as a stalker.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that's how sales dishonors marketing, to be very transparent with you. Is you produce a viable lead that needs to be nurtured, needs to be planted, and it's going to take years to develop that. And we just flip it off and forget about it and let it die. So I wanted to throw that out there. I've seen that happen, and it's been very unfortunate that salespeople don't always have the discipline to stay on top of that lead over a couple, 3-4 years, every 3 months. Hey man, what's going on in your world? Hey man, what's changing in your world?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and then salesperson, they come and go too.
They come and go.
That consistency.
Well, what I've seen though too with that lead that I've stayed after, I've actually seen them graduate, go off to another company, and then call me from a new company.
Sure.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're doing such a good job. And I mean, that's part of
unglamorous work. The thing is, it's very unglamorous work, and it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. But I think that's where salespeople need to get on it and go, no, that is my funnel next year. That's my funnel 2 years from now.
Yeah. It's all those sit-ups lead to better health.
Yeah. Well, I think that's how salespeople generally can dishonor marketing.
All right. That's a really nice.
That and not putting info in the CRM.
Yeah, that too.
Or putting things in folders, right, Howard? I don't put anything in a folder. I think he stopped asking now. So he just doesn't stop.
Right. Kristin and I had a meeting today with a company I've been chatting with for 3 years. Now they're getting to what they're going to change their business model and they want to sell direct.
Yeah.
They want to be selling through dealers. It's going to take a couple of years, but they'll still sell through deals, but they have never done digital marketing really. So, because I stayed on top of it, they said, hey, we're ready to talk. I'm like, who are you? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Jennifer, what do you think?
I think that discipline is about, I think that discipline too is about the industry you sell into. Because if I didn't hound people,
Oh, yeah. It's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matt called it stalk.
I mean, it's really like beating the shit on a door and watching it creak open just a half inch. And, that for years, that's really what it is. And very unglamorous, right, Matt? Very unglamorous.
Very unglamorous work, and nobody wants to do it. But that's, it's like if you look at the Kentucky Derby, what's the difference in time of first and second place in the Kentucky Derby?
Oh.
Well, millisecond, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference in the purse between first and second place?
Right.
Right. A lot. Right. All right, Jennifer, what do you think?
To Matt's point, I'm the one who will either ask like, hey, those people, especially if it's a chocolate company, I'm all over it. Like, hey, those people reached out a while ago, or we have a lot of different ways of reaching customers. So we have an online chat. So if you want to ask a quick question, you can chat with somebody on our website. We've talked to more end users that way in the past 3 years that we've done it than probably in the past 10 years. So we have little ways that we're talking to more end users. And if they ask a question or they want more information and we send them to a sales guy, I'll usually follow up like, hey, did you talk to that guy from the salad dressing company? They were asking about something. I kind of become a cheerleader because when that sale comes through, I get excited for them. And I'll tell them like, hey, we finally got those people to buy something. Like, how cool is that? We're doing a lot of work with SEO to bring more organic traffic to our website. So when things come through that I see and I send it to somebody, I'm like, that is so cool. Like, why are they looking for us? What do they want? We have a distributor portal, and sometimes people will fill out the form who aren't distributors, but they're cool end users or end users in general. They don't have to be chocolate companies, but I'll send it to the sales guy and be like, you might want to ask them what they're looking for. Maybe they need something from us, like I'm always there, like, go for it, do it. Let's see what happens. I'm like, I try to keep what Matt is talking about going so that if they don't want to plant it, I kind of make it like, okay, now I'm interested. I want to know. So let's go at it together if we have.
Yeah, you're passionate about it. You're an adjunct member of the sales team, it sounds like.
Yeah.
This is with Jennifer as well, Jessica as well, which I want to ask Jessica. Let's get into some real situations here. So I believe you have an example of a success story or stories where the strong alignment really paid off in significant business growth. Can you share one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my companies are actually very lucky that they've all been around for decades and have very dedicated customers that stick with us and rebuy from us all the time. But in this situation, we had actually developed a new machine for a new market that we had never been in before. So a company had just had a conversation with us, I believe at a trade show, and just kind of mentioned something offhand about wanting to make a new snack product. So this actually includes our product and engineering team as well. We developed a solution for this customer and realized after doing a little bit of market research that there was a lot more potential in this growing snack market. So marketing, did a lot of research to figure out who those potential customers were, what they cared about using those initial conversations, and really created a pretty long marketing campaign. So talking about, again, the sales cycle's long, these people didn't know us. We started with direct mail. We did paid advertising on LinkedIn and other social media channels. We did some email campaigns over a long period of time, a couple months, just so they were used to seeing our name, kind of knew what our solution was. All of those pieces included the same messaging, talking about their specific pain points, and it also included a demo video of the machine in action so they knew that it was a real solution that they could implement pretty quickly. So after that period of time, a couple months, the last step of that process was really passing it off to the sales team. So the sales team reached out with 2 emails if they didn't respond to the first one, and then a phone call, right? So again, talking about reaching out multiple times. So over the course of 3 months, we went from a very cold list to 60% of those people responded and had sales meetings. And then ultimately we sold several machines that resulted in over $700,000 in sales. So really in a 1 year span of time, we went from nothing to a brand new market with proven results all the way through the sales process. So that one was pretty cool, just because we did so many things together, including R&D and engineering to make a solution specifically for that market. So that was a big win for us.
Wow, congratulations. So that involved pretty much the whole company, everything from
absolutely
marketing, digital marketing activities, offline activities.
Yeah.
And obviously the producing the machine and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a lot. So does anyone else have any example of, a big win because you guys were aligned?
We are in the dairy industry, but we were thinking, truck to tank. So when the milk comes from the farm, it goes into a truck, the truck brings it to a tank to where it can get pasteurized or whatever it needs to do. We were thinking about that process. One of my sales guys went to one of those and said, do you have an O-ring? Do you have something that I can use at the farm when the cows are milked and we have to get the milk? Like, we forgot that we weren't thinking about that process because we're in food processing. The cow getting milked wasn't in our, we hadn't gone that far back in the production line. We were at this point of the production line. And yeah, now we were reinventing a product that we thought was dead. We're bringing in a new product. Yeah, it's kind of like Jessica. We got everybody involved. Our applications engineer, we have to create a product now for a process in an industry we were in that we didn't even think we had any skin in the game. So yeah, just because one of our sales guys happened to go somewhere and somebody was like, hey, do you have something for this part of the process? And we're like, yeah, we could do that. And thank God somebody said something because we were missing the boat.
Right. Yeah, Matt, I see you nodding. Do you have one similar?
No, I'm just agreeing that
Oh.
it's amazing how you walk in and you ask some questions and all of a sudden you start running across a new application for an existing piece of technology like we would make, and that none of us ever thought about that part of the food business that we could use our piece of equipment for that. And that's happened several times where, yeah, you walk in, you go, they ask you a question, could you use, your cooker for that? Huh? Maybe.
Yeah.
You start doing a little research, you start doing a little talking, and all of a sudden you go, holy cow, that's real. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We have a client that they were primarily building conveyors for underground mining, coal, potash, things like that. And then I don't know how it came about, but a sand and gravel quarry, which there's a lot of around the country, needed a conveyor, and they're like, oh, we can take our technology for the underground and just change it a little bit for above ground. So the salespeople, it was the salespeople really that found that. And then we helped them from the digital marketing side, really creating the content around that, kind of what's the difference between underground mining and overland mining. And now they're getting found for these stacker conveyors, which are above ground mining. And it was this collaboration with the marketing director and the sales folks that they kind of figured that out. So that makes a lot of sense. Speaking of technology, we have a few minutes left. I did want to cover this because this actually answered one of the audience questions, which was, what platforms and how do you advertise and do marketing in the food and beverage markets? It used to be in magazines, but now it's LinkedIn, keywords, search, etc. So I want to ask Kristin, how do you see the role of technology and digital marketing in supporting the alignment of sales and marketing?
Wow, data. So I opened it up with it, and I'll say it again. Data. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's been a lead-in, and certainly AI and platforms like this are really kind of taking it to the next level. But none of these things we're learning, they're not going to work for you unless you collect your data and you start to really understand your users, what they're doing, where they are, how to meet them there. And you're making your marketing decisions based on data, and you're helping all of your clients and customers get the most data too as possible, and connecting all of your systems together. So the data piece, I think, just kind of expands like a ripple effect across everywhere. In collecting good data, having good data in your CRM or your marketing automation platform, being able to literally follow everyone around and see where they are, what they're doing, how they're interacting, kind of have alarm bells go up. So I would say for me, that's what I wrote down kind of when I was doing this. So like CRM, marketing automation, data integration, reporting, analytics, and then I finished it off with data. AI is having a huge impact on marketing, and it's only going to get bigger and better. So keep your eye on that ball as well, and think kind of outside the box on how you're going to be able to use these bots to help you in the future. Don't be afraid of it. Don't run away from it, because it's not going anywhere, so you might as well dig in. AI is going to make smart people smarter and lazy people lazier. So let's be the smart ones. And that's really what I think as far as like streamlining in today's. It's going like supersonic speed, and you can back up most everything that you think with data.
Mm-hmm. All right. You're a big believer in it. That's good. All right. And Jessica, tell us your story about how you leverage technology.
Yeah, I would reiterate everything that Kristin just said. For us, at a very simple level, it's our CRM is our core piece of technology, our single source of truth for marketing and sales, so we can see what each other is doing, we can see what's working, what's not. And it really helps us refine what we are doing and follow those customers along and hopefully result in more sales. I will say the other thing that we use it for is not just data collection, because as a marketer, I've also always been told to, like I'm like the babysitter, right, in the background, like make sure you're filling out that CRM sales team, and they hate it, and they're in the field, and it's really hard. So keeping that in mind and just being a little empathetic to their situation, we also use our CRM to automate some of the processes that Jennifer talked about. So when we have a lead come in, there's an automatic email that goes out now to help give a little bit of a buffer for the sales team. So the customer gets some immediate feedback, the sales team still reaches out. There's reminders set up to make sure that if the sales team does drop it, they're reminded, so it's not something they have to keep over their shoulders. And then tying that into marketing communications and marketing automation, we're just scratching the surface at that. But over those months and years that things go away and then come back, it's not just sales that can communicate with those prospects, it's also marketing. So again, that all kind of stems from that one ecosystem, and it enables so much visibility and so much streamlined processes, and then ultimately more sales and results for us.
Right. And you're on Salesforce as your CRM and HubSpot now, right? Or
Correct.
starting
Yep.
for automation, marketing automation.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So a little quick survey. Jennifer, what platforms do you use for your CRM and automation?
So right now we were using Salesforce, but it just wasn't the right platform for us at that time because we're not project based. So we're more commodity based. So we set up our own flow through SharePoint as our CRM, and it's to our website. Most of my metrics and my big spend come from what I do with SEO. So my data is going to be very website specific, website traffic, the amount of leads. And like I said, we also have a chat on our website, which creates a ton of leads that we then use however we'd like to. We send them to the sales guys, we keep them, and then we send out mass emails. I do a bunch of campaigns with my web team, my advertising agency. So I believe they use HubSpot for us sometimes. I'm kind of a department of one, so I can only do so much.
Right.
But yeah, we're working. My metrics are more SEO based at this point because that's where we get the most bang for our buck.
All right. And Matt, what platforms are you on?
We're on Salesforce as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
I want to go back to, if you don't mind, and I agree, Kristin, with what you're saying, that data is the starting point of everything. I completely agree with that. Of course it is. I guess I want to throw out I was in a meeting a while back, and the conclusion that was reached by the data was all wrong.
Oh.
The way the data was teased reached an incorrect conclusion, and I raised my hand, and with that, I don't believe that. I just don't believe that conclusion. And then after reevaluating the data, it became clear that the way the data was teased, it it didn't reach the correct conclusion. So I agree with everything that you're saying is data is correct, but I think there's always a point of, is that really right?
Yeah. Well, if you work with Howard, it's right.
Well, no, it's how you interpret it, and you can twist the data to whatever you got to be careful. Yeah.
You have to be careful. You have to look at the data, and I think there's always a little bit of a jaundiced eye when looking at data, going, did I tease the data to reach a conclusion that I wanted?
Yeah.
Well,
I believe that's what happened in this case.
Right. It's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
There was a self-fulfilling prophecy in the data, and I was like, I threw up the BS flag.
Good. You got to do it. Always question. So we're right. We're at 3 Eastern right now, so we want to kind of bring this to a close. Any last thoughts from each of you? Kristin, last quick 3 words.
Sure. So this was great. Thank you. And Jessica, if you're having a challenge with your salespeople putting info in their CRM, make their fields required.
I do that too.
Very good. Yeah, she does it. All right. Jennifer, last thoughts?
Work with your sales team. They're fun, I swear.
All right, Jessica.
Thank you.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Let's be super cliche about it.
And that.
You know, I think it's all about collaboration. I don't think anymore the way the world works, the idea of the lone sales wolf works anymore. I just don't think so. I think it's about collaboration, working together, because none of us have all the information.
For sure.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much. We have there's a question about AI. I think we answered it, but AI is everywhere in content, topics, things like that. Don't have it write your content for you, but come up with topic ideas and so on. That's really good. Here's some contact information.
Learn.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say AI helps you learn.
Helps you learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's our contact information if you want to talk about digital marketing for manufacturers, sales and marketing alignment. We're here for you as well. Thank you so much to the FPSA again and our panelists. I learned a lot today as well, and hope you all did too. And be on the lookout for the recording and an email coming from the FPSA. Thanks so much. Have a great
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.